Don't know what we do without Michelle. We would be lost. Thank you, Michelle. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Washington Area Program of Projects March Community Advisory Group, our CAG meeting. We are glad you were here, and we have a very full agenda this evening, and we'll go ahead and go to the next slide, please. As always, at all of our meetings, we do have Spanish interpretation. So for interpretation, you're going to connect to a tablet or a computer, and then on the bottom of your screen, the right-hand side of your screen, you will see a globe icon. And you do need to select the language of your preference, and that does include if you prefer English, to select English, or if you prefer Spanish, Spanish.
Para escuchar la interpretación, haga el favor de conectarse usando una tableta o computadora. Luego, pulse el icono del globo en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla. Seleccione el lenguaje de su preferencia y, por favor, indique en el chat si está escuchando a través del canal español.
Thank you, Catherine. So if you would go ahead and select your language preference. And those that selected Spanish, Nora and Francisco will be joining you in the Spanish interpretation channel. Next slide, please. So as always, just again, on behalf of the mayor and the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure and the Office of Community and Business Engagement, where I reside, want to welcome you to our March CAG meeting. As always, we are grateful that Catherine Archuleta has joined us to facilitate this evening's meeting. So Catherine, I will go ahead and have you take it away.
We're going to start out, just take a quick look at the agenda. We have a lot of information tonight and hopefully a lot of conversation with you all, starting with the National Western Center update, and then moving on to the Denver Dumb Friends League update on what their project is looking at. We will talk about 4601 Washington update with Lisa, 4995 Washington Street with Jennifer at host, and some other program announcements that we want to share with you at the end of the meeting. So I think we'll just go ahead and get started. And Marcy, would you like to go ahead and start our presentation?
Absolutely. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Anthony. Again, my name is Marcy Loughran, and I'm the Chief Communications Officer with the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center through the City and County of Denver. And we're responsible for construction of phases 1 and 2 of the redevelopment of the National Western Center campus. So again, thank you for having us to provide this update. Let's see, next slide. This is what we call construction at a glance. We get aerials I think every other week of the site. So this is kind of a nice overview of the site that was taken on March 3rd. And you can see really the areas that we have highlighted in yellow are active construction areas. We're working on the riverfront, the 51st Avenue Bridge, and then we're also preparing for our next vertical building, which is the Livestock Center pad. Over on the left side of the campus in the white, I don't really cover these, but I do want to point out that the CSU SPUR, VETA, Hydro, and Terra buildings are also over there, and VETA is open and open to the public. Very, very cool facility. Also, just to the right of the livestock pad is our first new building, which is the Stockyards Event Center, and we've turned that over to the National Western Center Authority to program, operate, and maintain now. And you can see, the pink above it, that's one of the plaza areas. And then over to the right is what we call the multi-use yards. So during stock show, that's where you would kind of wander around and see all the cattle. And during the rest of the year, the authority is working to program it. A small portion of it is being used to support their Jurassic World exhibition event, which is currently in that building. I think it's running for about 8 months. So if you guys have any interest in going that on the nationalwesterncenter.com website, you can find some more information there, or I can connect you with folks at the authority. Next slide, please. Here's kind of a fun shot showing the progression of what was over on this far left in June. That was rail lines and 2 above ground wastewater pipes called the Delgany Interceptor. They were blocking the river. The rail was blocking the river. The Delgany was blocking the river. And then you can, coming to the middle here, December, it starts to look like the
Excuse
new
me,
road.
Marcy, sorry to interrupt. Did you see the note from the interpreter to just slow down a little bit?
Oh, no, I did not. Thank you,
Yeah.
AE.
No problem.
Good. Do I need to pause more then?
That would help, Marcy.
Certainly, thank you. I'm usually in a public meeting in a room where I can hear them and be able to work my cadence there. Again, so this middle photograph, this was taken December of 2021, and it shows the new configuration of National Western Drive along with the riverfront over here on the right. The activities that we're working on, some fine grading on the riverfront, we're still in the middle picture. You can kind of see that the fine grading that's working on there as we start to really develop that area where there's going to be some nature play. I think a sunken amphitheater, native grasses, and really some cool trails and other walking areas. If you move to the next photo, which is March this month, you can really see the road as a road. We've got the asphalt is complete, the striping is complete, and then you can see the sidewalk is also in, and the dirt between the street and the sidewalk are planters, wastewater, or not wastewater, stormwater water planters. So when it rains, they'll catch some of the water there and then put them into the system. Part of the redevelopment of this site was really new infrastructure around the entire campus. So this is new piping for water, utilities, fiber, electric, etc., and also connecting to the larger Denver system called the Montclair Outfall. So really the water has proper places to go now, which is pretty exciting.
Marcy, can we just stop to see if anybody has any questions?
Of course.
About what just to ask the CAG if there's anything that I'm not seeing. You'll have to, if you raise your use your icon to raise your hand. There you are, Van.
Hi there. Thanks, Marcy, for going through all these updates. I'm curious if compost soil or other soil amendments were used for the garden beds and other like soil restoration projects.
We haven't reached that section of the construction, yes, but I believe they are working with some of the composting pieces to it. We do get a fair amount of compostable material from the stock show. And so those are actually on other piles, which you can't see in this picture. And some of it goes to the stock show releases to certain facilities. And then I think some of it may be reused for some of those planting and pieces there. That's a great question. Even we try to reuse as much as possible on this site, just even from, recycled concrete from any of the facilities, even reuse of some of the asphalt that we've taken up in other areas is all really repurposed and reused back into this campus. I see another hand up. Is that Joseph?
Yep. You, Joseph. Oh, you're on mute, Joseph.
I apologize. I thought I chat. I just wanted to know how much did all costs at taxpayers. How much did taxpayers pay for this?
Actually, yes. So the funding system or mechanism for phases 1 and 2 was through ballot initiative 2C, which was an extension of the visitor and lodgers tax. So it was actually paid for by people who come to stay in hotels in Colorado or in Denver, rent a car, rent a car, stay in a hotel, things like that. So it was no additional cost to taxpayers for phases 1 and 2.
Excellent,
which is
thank you.
700, certainly, and it was $774 million for the phases 1 and 2.
Thank you. You can go on to the next slide, I think, then, Marcy.
Okay, next slide. And
Oh,
then-
AE, I'm sorry. AE,
Yes.
did you have a question?
Well, Marcy, didn't some of the Regional Tourism Act money help with this, or is that being applied later?
Yes, no, that is a good point. There are definitely a couple of funding sources, and AE is correct. The Regional Tourism Act, RTA, was also awarded to this campus at, oh gosh, it's like $22 million paid for over the course of 30 years. So we haven't seen any of that money come through yet, but that it is accounted for within some of the funding.
The
Okay.
CSU system, is that part of what you're calibrating here?
No, CSU's all
So the
state
different
funded.
phases?
Yeah,
That's all state. Okay.
yes, exactly.
Joseph, do you still have a question or you just need to put your icon down? Thinking it's, okay, thanks, Joseph. Okay, go ahead, Marcy.
No worries. I love questions. So this is, we're just moved a little bit further north on this aerial. It's hard to really kind of orient yourself when you're looking at these, and I stare at these all the time. But this shows the 51st Avenue Bridge, which is our first of two bridges that connects over to the Globeville community. And you can really see some progress is well underway on this bridge, and it looks like a bridge. On May 3rd, we had crews were out and they were pouring the deck for this bridge, and you can kind of see the concrete trucks there kind of near the number 2, and then halfway up the bridge you can see the concrete, and then on the far right you can really start to see the rebar. And if you go to the next slide, you can see is kind of a close-up, and this is a pretty cool view for me. This is actually, this yellow machine here is a custom machine that when the concrete is poured, it flattens it and levels it, and it actually vibrates this concrete, so it really gets a very nice, smooth and even footing for the bridge deck. This has now been poured. We had some interesting weather the last couple of weeks, so we covered the deck with tarps just to help that concrete really cure. I mean, it's a lot. It was 440, I think it was 440 cubic yards, 440,000 cubic yards of concrete in this pour. So it really took a long time for that to get really firm and set. Crews right now are working on the utilities on this that go under the sidewalks that will be part of go to the lighting and some of the other pieces and parts. So we're working on the sidewalks now. If you go to the next slide, I just wanted to give an update of the river art. So here's some really great visuals. The base of the art are precast bases. So when you see these square pieces at the bottom of the horse and the trees, those are actually precast bases, and they're part of the railing system. And you can see in the bridge down here, they're in a few different areas along the railing, and those are impact rated as well. So if something were to run into those, it's as if it's a real railing. And then the color you see here are hand-placed ceramic tiles that David is putting in designing. So really beautiful and really vibrant. And then David Garcia was also in our storage yard not too long ago, and he took some metal pieces, some latches, some hooks. I'm not sure how he's going to incorporate them in this, but we're actually really excited to see what he does with some of the salvaged and historic materials that we set aside from the site.
Marcy, can you say who David is? I know he's part of the percentage for the art that is part of this project, and maybe talk about who he is.
Yes, well, his name is David Garcia. We've got some information about him on our website under the public art tab, but he was one of the local artists selected from a competitive process through Arts and Venues and was awarded the River Bridge Art program. So very cool, very kind of community and historic minded kind of art, and he's just been really fun to work with. And this is the Bridge of the Sun. And then he's just preparing these concepts right now actually for fabrication. So once we get information back from the fabricator. We'll kind of understand more timing of when some of these pieces will actually be installed. And we're looking forward to getting some video and some aerials of that installation. And if people are interested, I'll be happy to share that information as well. So with that, that is my short and sweet update, and be happy to take any questions on this portion or any other pieces.
Any questions for?
Joseph put one in the chat. We always, Joseph is asking, we always have issues with graffiti. How will art be protected? Well, I would say in a couple of ways. I mean, with Denver does have that graffiti program. So if things do get tagged, or you know, the authority would be managing the bridge portion of that, and we would work with the city to get that cleaned up. And we'd also encourage you know, the community and everybody around this to really take pride in the area and in the bridge, and help us also protect that beautiful asset that's going to be out there. So a good question, Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay. Thank you, Marcy. We'll look forward to the next update.
Thank you.
And now we're going to ask Jody Little Buckman to talk to us about the Dumb Friends League.
Jody, actually, my name's Daria McKay, and Jody is our VP of Veterinary Services. She did not join us today, but I am here with one of our outreach coordinators. So
terrific. We're glad you're here, Daria.
What's that?
I'm glad you're here.
Oh, I'm excited. We're excited to introduce ourselves to our new neighbors and talk a little bit about our services that we are offering to the community from the SPUR location. I'm the practice manager of the hospital at CSU SPUR. I don't know, do we have slides that are kind of connected to this? I just have to tell you. Okay, great. So next slide. So I think most people are familiar with the Dumb Friends League and our sheltering services. Our mission is to work with our compassionate community to end pet homelessness and animal suffering. Next slide. And so within the Dumb Friends League, we actually have a whole bunch of different divisions. We have the community veterinary services focuses on providing services to the community, and we really support our bigger mission of ending pet homelessness by keeping pets with their families, so keeping the families together. We have two different departments. We have one department that focuses on healthy pets and one that focuses on sick pets. The hospital itself, we're a nonprofit, so we are offering urgent care services to sick and injured pets. And the way it works is that, you know, we're really focused on families that need our help. One of the biggest reasons why people relinquish their pets to shelters is for financial reasons. And our goal is really to remove those barriers to receive care, and so that pets aren't suffering and that we can keep those families together. The urgent care hospital, as I said, it's donor subsidized. So every invoice that we bill through there is being supported by a donor. Also, really just try to make it easy for people to access these services. So we don't require proof of need. So it's basically on the honor system. We also have a set pricing structure so that there's no surprises when people come in for care. One of the other things that's unique about us is that we offer in-house payment plans. So what that means is that we don't run credit checks. We will work with everybody, and we don't require payment at the time of service. So there's no need to put a deposit down. We're really here to meet people where they're at and to work with the budgets that they have, and finding providing services that are going to get their pet feeling better without having to worry about the finances. Next slide. I'll talk more about the hospitals, but the next slide here is about some of the healthy pet services. I wanted to introduce Aiden McMorrow. He is, so the league actually has 2 bilingual outreach coordinators, and their job is to find the people that need our help and make sure the right people are using our services. So I'm gonna let him, he's gonna be the one really that you might see out in the community. So I think it's important for you guys to meet him, and I want to have him pop on and talk about some of the services that he supports and promotes to the community.
Hey, yeah, thanks a ton, Daria. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you, Daria. Like Daria said, I'm one of 2 outreach coordinators with the Dumb Friends League. I'm focusing specifically mainly on the area around 80216 and the SPUR hospital, and that means hosting these community events. The first one being vaccine clinics. So we host at least 1 vaccine clinic a week, often 2 a week, and at these clinics, we're seeing, 80 to 120 pets, at least 100, I would say often, and we're giving vaccines including rabies, distemper, and doing brief physical exams that can help owners recognize if there are larger issues that they should maybe go to our other sick pet side for things, which would be the hospitals, SPUR, and YUMA. But at the vaccine clinics, it's been a really great way to connect with members of the community. And I think for a lot of community members, pets would be considered a part of the family. I know in my case, that's definitely how it is. So when it comes to keeping those families together, I think we provide a really important service in giving these vaccinations. Not only are they important for the health of the pet, but they allow us to access a lot of other services, things that you might not really even think about, whether it's just going to the dog park or getting your pet groomed, dropping your cat off for boarding while you take a trip. These things all require updated vaccines. So I think it's really amazing that we're able to get out and provide these services on such a regular basis, especially at such a low cost. It's only $20 to do the core vaccines, which I mentioned, rabies and distemper. And then we also offer microchipping for an additional $25. So it's really something that's been great. We are currently doing a lot of these clinics at our YUMA location, but we're excited to start having them at some different sites in the neighborhoods surrounding SPUR, Globeville, Ilaria, and Swansea. Yeah, if you could move to the next slide, that would be, yeah. So the other main thing that the Healthy Pets side of the Dumb Friends League does would be the spay neuter clinics. So we are 6 days a week seeing cats for spay neuter. 2 of those days are dedicated to working with specific community groups such as Metro Denver Cat, Forgotten Felines, Little Rescue on the Prairie. There are a lot of really great individuals that are community trappers that we work with, and they basically help us do these trap and release programs to prevent large populations of feral cats from just continuing to linger in communities. On the other days that we're not seeing feral cats, though, we have people bring in their own cats, and sometimes people even contact their neighbors. There's a really good sense of community that you get from everybody when it comes to getting these cats in, getting them spayed or neutered, and then you can get their shots here too. So frequently what we'll see people do is actually come, get the surgery, get their first round of shots, and then they come back for the vaccine clinic. So it's really great to see the same people kind of over and over again. Sometimes they might even bring a friend, but I really feel that the services are appreciated. So yeah, like I said, and like Daria said, our goal is really to keep families together here, pets being such important members of a lot of people's families. So I think by providing these services, we can reduce relinquishment and meet our goals.
We just stopped for a moment to see if there are any questions about well pet services.
Yeah.
Anything?
in the chat.
AE?
I wish I could share my screen, but just to fill out the legacy here, the Lulu portable vet dumb friendly came to Globeville in 2017 and operated for a good bit of time, both for cats and dogs in the Holy Rosary parking lot. That is why it is on the map in this area on behalf of the neighbors over in Globeville that I want to encourage to feel that they were a part of this. It was moved to focus points after Holy Rosary had a personnel change, and the new person withdrew the use of the parking lot. So this is technically a 4 or 5 year, if not longer, relationship with the neighborhoods. And I think there's some substantial in Globeville proper, and I would be happy to send the pictures to you so that you guys can extend the timeline. It's a very valuable. There were people coming from all over Thornton, from the west, from the east, and from within the neighborhoods, the mobile vet clinic. So somehow let's keep the depth in that.
Thank you for that historical perspective, AE. Nola? Hi, Nola.
Hey, thank you. I'm sorry, no, I'm forgetting the gentleman's name. Aiden.
Yep.
Sorry, we got a different answer about feral cats, so I just want to confirm that you can bring feral cats in to the CSU SPUR location.
Yeah, so it just about basically for feral cats, we have a different process for scheduling appointments. So we don't do feral cats on the same days that we would do owned cats. But if you want to bring a feral cat in, basically I can put my email address in the chat, and there's just some specific instructions that we have in terms of bringing them in. One thing, I mean, basically we need to know that people realize that feral cats can be feral, and it requires just a little bit of, we like to make sure that we give instruction on how to handle them, how to bring them in properly in a humane trap, that kind of stuff. But we will definitely see feral cats. That's one of the things that, yeah, like I said, 2 days a week, we specify our time so that we can work with these colonies of feral cats. So I'll post my email in the chat, and if you're looking to get some specific instructions, I can definitely send those over your way right away.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Noah.
Anything else, AE, or just your hand? No. Okay. So we want to go on to the veterinary hospital.
Yeah, just before we go on, I just also wanted to add that Aiden is working on a vaccine clinic in the GES community, and we're hoping to have something as early as April. So keep your eyes open, and I'm sure Aiden will be out promoting that once we have a date set. So back to the hospital, we have 2 hospitals, and I wanted to pop up the first location, which is on Yuma Street in the Westwood neighborhood, simply because it is a walk-in hospital. It's also an urgent care, but this is a great resource for folks that might struggle with having to be at an appointment for a specific time. And also it is primarily a drop-off location. And so, pets that are coming in for urgent care services, if they need a workup, so for example, blood work and x-ray, that can take upwards of 2 hours to just get a diagnosis. And so for people that don't have that time to sit during the day and maybe they need to get to work, this is a great option for them. Next slide. And then the hospital at SPUR is appointment-based. Again, we also offer urgent care services, but we felt like appointments, there's just such a need for offering something that is a bridge between emergency service and general practice. We felt that appointment, we didn't want to we didn't want to offer a completely different menu of services, but there was just such a need to take care of the sick pets that this was really something that we felt was important to continue to offer. So currently we're open Tuesday through Friday at SPUR. It is appointment based. We sometimes have same day appointments. We don't do emergencies, so I wanted to clarify that urgent care really means something that is not life-threatening, but could progress to that if it wasn't treated in a timely manner. Next slide. So this is just kind of an outline of how we do our fee schedule. An exam is $25. As I said, we work on a package deal. So if you're coming in for an urgent care visit, it's $150. It includes the exam and the diagnostics that are needed. And then if medication needs to go home, that's in addition. Our surgeries, again, are really low. Most of the surgeries that we do abdominal explore. So for dogs that may have eaten something they shouldn't have and it's lodged in their intestines. We do cystotomies, which is a surgery to remove bladder stones. We will do surgery for pyometra, which is an infected uterus. If we have a dog that maybe wasn't spayed when it was, or isn't spayed and developed an infection. Another service that we offer is dentistry. So unfortunately, that's not quite up and running at the CSU location yet, but we are offering that at the YUMA Street location. Dentistry is a really, dental disease is something that is very widespread and it's very expensive. Most pets need some degree of oral surgery, so removing abscessed teeth and really cleaning up the tartar. We do hope to have that running within, I want to say, the next month. We had some construction issues, but that is another service. Any questions before I kind of move on about the types of things that we see at the hospitals?
Okay.
Great. And then just lastly, if you haven't been to SPUR, the things that make the hospital really unique there is that it is an educational location. It's an educational environment, and it's really designed to help educate people about career pathing. And so we really are excited about that because the hospital at SPUR is also a teaching hospital for us. We have a partnership with the CSU Vet School. We have externships for the CSU vet students that are in their 4th year. So it gives them an opportunity to kind of have some hands-on experience before graduating. And then next slide. Our surgery suite and our dental suite and one of our exam rooms is encased in a window. So basically people can watch surgeries and you can't really tell how far away the window is, but it's really only a few feet where you can really get up close and see what it's like behind the doors of a veterinary hospital. You can see our surgical team is prepping a dog there for surgery. And next slide. And then this is kind of looking out at the audience. So they have the opportunity, the audience has the opportunity to interact with the medical team by asking questions. The suites are mic'd and there are facilitators that can help find appropriate times to ask questions. Really, it's a great opportunity for us to have this exposure to people, to specifically K through 12, to give them this exposure to a career maybe they hadn't even considered. Maybe they like animals, but never even knew that this was an option. So it's kind of an interactive experience. There's also the lobby has a mock vet clinic, so kids can kind of go in there and play veterinarian. My daughter is 8 and we were there during the stock show. I couldn't drag her out of there. So it's really is fun if you have kids, plan on being there for a little while, but that has been a very unique situation. You can kind of see the kids do love to ask questions, and surprisingly we weren't sure if it would be too graphic. Surgery would be too graphic for an elementary age group, but they're really are fun. The doctors have really enjoyed having them. We all look forward to having the big school groups and just kind of interacting and being able to share the profession with not only the school, but with the community. And I think that might be the last slide. Yeah.
So, Daria, if any of the community groups would like to do a tour of the SPUR campus, is that available to the neighborhood organizations?
It is, yes. So the CSU team, the education team, they do have scheduled tours. They have facilitators that will kind of take you through the whole VETA campus. Well, not just the VETA campus, eventually the whole campus once all the other buildings are up. I can put up the, let me get the best email address to put in there and connect you guys if you want to schedule something. It is free and open admission. So if you want to just come on your own and explore, it's open to the public. So people can come during the working hours. But if you want to have the guided tour experience with a group, or if this group wants to come, we can connect you with the right people.
Thank you, Daria. Really appreciate it. Any questions for Daria about the work of the Dumb Friends League? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
It was
you.
really interesting. So Lisa Lumley, who is with the City and County of Denver Finance offices, is going to update us on 4601 Washington Street.
Hi, thank you. So I am the Director of Real Estate. I have been in conversations with CDOT. I know that there is interest in what is going on with this parcel that CDOT owns at Washington Street. My contacts at CDOT, they are going through what they call a clearance process internally to CDOT, whereby, especially my understanding is DORA, the Department of Regulatory Authority, if they have any internal state interests first, they have to go through that to check on that before they can offer it up to the city or anyone else. That is the process they're in, and they've been in that for the last couple months. It is a newer process to them. I don't know when they started that process. I can say though that the city has had that process for a number of years. So it is not unusual for me to know that they have taken this approach. Right now we are waiting. I have a meeting they're trying to schedule another one in another, I believe, 2 weeks for some discussion about this parcel and some others. So as soon as we have information, I am happy to bring it back to this team. But right now, that is the update I have, that we are holding and waiting to hear back from CDOT.
Okay. And I just want to check to see if anybody, Joseph in particular, do you have any questions? Joseph? Go ahead, Joseph. You're on mute.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Herrera. I live on Pearl Street, and I've actually been dealing with CDOT for the past 11 months now. So my question is, did they just start this process when I started calling? Because I've been dealing with them for a long time, and I just got City Councilwoman Debbie Ortega involved, and I also got Candy Baca involved. And I've been getting a lot of people involved in this because this property has been abandoned for 30 years, since 1992. And it wasn't until I started calling that they just started this quote unquote new process. And I just wondering, did they just really just started this because I started raising my voice?
I cannot speak to that on the timing. What I can say is that it is being used across the board on all parcels related to the Central 70 project that would be considered a remnant parcel. And that is the extent that I know. I don't, because it's new, we had heard that may be where there may be a little bit of disconnect within CDOT on some people thinking it can move forward. The person I'm dealing with is fairly high up. And so that is why like I said, I need to go with the people I'm meeting with, and that is the direction I've been given.
And I understand that, but the way it was told to all of us was that anything along I-70 would be fixed. And when I started inquiring about 4601 Washington Street, I basically got 8 lies from CDOT. And every time that they lied to me, I started investigating, and they would give me a different excuse. And it got to the point where they did confirm that the ramp on 4601 Washington Street would be fixed. And I asked, will the property be fixed? And that's when I was actually thrown to the Federal Highway Administration, and they asked me not to ask any more questions, to go through them. And when I went through them, they didn't understand why I was being given to the Federal Highway Administration when CDOT did not want to answer any of my questions. That's where the whole 4601 project has actually began, and up to a certain point, it had ended. But that's why I had to get City Councilwoman Debbie Ortega and Candy DeBaca involved, because I was just given the runaround. And again, this is all brand new to CDOT, because up to 8 months ago, they didn't know that they owned that land. They were clueless that they owned that land until I started inquiring about it. So it's a brand new process to them because I started calling.
Thank you, Joseph. I think the hard part here is that this is a CDOT project, and we have all the city folks here, but it sounds like you've been a strong advocate, and congratulations on helping to move that along. And thank you, Lisa, for updating us. I think we have a couple more questions, AE and then NOLA.
Joseph, I appreciate what you're doing, pushing a rock uphill. I do want to put a little context on the discussion that's occurred within Globeville over the years with that property. And in the course of the Central 70 repairs a couple of years ago, there was a proposal by CDOT to put a solar garden there. And I was one of the people that strongly opposed just putting in an industrial feeling solar garden. But there's still some interest. That property was looked at and it's been a little hard, I think, to maybe create the cohesiveness among the conversations in the neighborhood as a whole around this. But there's lots of interest in a whole variety of things at that property. So it concerns me that CDOT would be giving the impression that they didn't know that they owned that property, because there were some upfront discussions about that. And it is the first decline that was in place when it was originally discussed was that there was some impression that they were going to need to use that as a staging area for some of the Central 70 construction, but that was years ago. So there is a history, and more power to you. And I hope you could be right. I'm seeing your text there, Joe, that you have some paperwork. It could be right that there's some confusion passing along the information within CDOT, and that's a concern. But I look forward to a broad creative conversation about what the possibilities are there as the land gets cleared.
Lisa, I'm just wondering if maybe after you have that meeting, we can ask you to come back and report whenever that, I know it's 2 weeks or so out, maybe coming back again to update the community. We know that CDOT is really responsible for this. We know you're sort of in between waiting for them and also being able to and wanting to respond to the community. But I think Anthony, we definitely should schedule an update with whenever it's timely about the project. Thank you. Nola, I think it's your turn.
Hi, thank you, Lisa, for being here tonight. So I'm curious if the property does go up for sale and the city has the first right of refusal to purchase it, what does that process look like?
So what I will say is we'll talk kind of in generalities, right? And in general, for the city to look at any parcel that we may want to acquire in whatever manner, we need to know that we have a use that can be supported. That being said, I think there would be conversation obviously with this community as well as I know that there were some other area plans and input from Globeville in the past on how they would like and what types of things they could see on that site. So we would want to work through those layers to understand, you know, it's an interesting site in that it is long but narrow with limited access. So we need to be thoughtful about what could go there.
Okay, so we have a commitment from Lisa to come back as soon as that meeting is had. We'll keep you updated as best we can on what CDOT is planning. Again, we're sort of, from what I understand from Lisa, is that we're as anxious to get an answer from CDOT as everyone else, and we'll try to get that back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for the historic perspective, AE and Nola and Joseph, for your advocacy and moving this, the information forward. I don't see any other hands up, so we'll move to the next one, which is the 4995 Washington Street update. Jennifer?
Hello. Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can, thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm Jennifer Siegel. I'm a housing development officer with Host, and I'm bringing an update on 4995 Washington Street. Next slide, please. So just wanted to give a brief history, and many of the members here likely know this, but just wanted to give a bit of a refresher. The city acquired 4995 in Street in 2019. Utilizing federal funds, and with that type of federal funds, the specific use has always been for affordable housing and a community serving space, so an economic development or community serving project. In 2021, there were a couple of listening sessions to really inform hosts in the city of the community's development priorities. And as you'll see, I think we're confident that the community's development priorities have made it into the RFP, and we're really careful to include that. Then, of course, with the pandemic, you know, things slowed down. There were some delays, but in 2021, the vast majority of time, Host was really evaluating some options for land ownership. We've decided that the city would retain land ownership of 4995 Washington and utilize a ground lease structure, and that will ensure that the site in perpetuity stays, you know, meets the priorities of the community. The affordable housing maintains affordability and perpetuity, and the community serving space will always serve the community. Next slide, please. So we're in 2022 now, and Lisa from Real Estate is here. Real Estate in January of 2022, the Division of Real Estate issued what we call a request for expressions of interest. And really the purpose of this was to inform us of what developers think might be a good fit for that site. These were non-binding submissions, but it really helped inform us what the developers and those who are interested in participating in the RFP process think would be a really good fit for that location. So last week, March 15th, the RFP, the request for proposals was issued. That's the formal request to the development community for proposals to develop the site. And on this, we have a pretty aggressive timeline. The submission deadline is April 15th, and we anticipate making an award on May 2nd of 2022. So as you can see, it's a very aggressive timeline. Next slide, please. Anyone in the community can look at the RFP. They're in 2 locations on the city's website. You could search City of Denver Real Estate, and you'll see on that website page, the Division of Real Estate, you'll see the RFP. Additionally, you could, using your favorite search engine, you can search City of Denver host funding opportunities, and the RFP is on that page. That should come up. If there's any community member that doesn't have internet access, maybe coordinate with Anthony Aragon, and I'd be happy to print out a copy of the RFP and put it in the mail or deliver it to anyone who might want a paper copy of it. So coordinate with Anthony or someone from the community, and I'm happy to do that.
Jennifer, we have a question in the chat about whether it's is this a high bid?
No,
RFP?
this is actually not a bid situation. And actually, I think the next slide, we talk about what some of the priorities are, but I just want to explain the way this is structured is it's not someone bidding on a cost. I mean, there's going to be a financial feasibility test, but the city will retain ownership of the land. So the land is not being sold. So that there's no sale price for the land. It's really going to be based on meeting the priorities that are laid out in the RFP. And I think you'll see that the priorities that are communicated in the RFP, which are host priorities, are also the community priorities. So for example, as you can see here, some of the required criteria is that the majority of the units have to be affordable to households at or below 80% of the area median income. And then there'll be additional consideration given for the number of units that serve very low income, which is what we've considered 30% of the area median income. Additionally, there is a consideration given for family size units, so 3 bedrooms or more. And that was something that was clearly communicated by told to us by the community. That was a very high priority for the community, having family size units. As you may know, the library is considering taking on space within that site. That decision has not been made. So the proposal does require an alternative to that. So the development proposals should include some type of community serving space in the event that the Denver Public Library chooses an additional location for their Lowville site. Additionally, there is a requirement that the proposal includes a robust community engagement strategy. And with that community engagement strategy, there has to be a letter of support from a community stakeholder. And in the RFP, there is an appendix that has community stakeholders listed there. So it is going to be it's going to be incumbent upon the developers to reach out to the community, essentially make their pitch for their proposal and receive that letter of support. So we felt like that was a really strong way of requiring the developers who intend on submitting a proposal to engage with the community and make sure that their proposals meet the community priorities. And of course, the city has a diversity and inclusiveness self-assessment that the developers have to include as well. So that's kind of a broad overview of what we're requiring in the proposal for it to actually even be considered. And then there's some kind of design and financial feasibility requirements. So we'll evaluate the financial feasibility of the housing and community serving space. We want to make sure that the density is maximized, but the quality of the development proposal, meets the site requirements. And we want to make sure it's sustainable. And of course, as I said previously, that the developer would have to agree to enter into a land lease with the city.
Jennifer, Angela Garcia is asking whether that the city is planning on buying the houses behind 4995.
I can't answer that. I don't know if those houses are in. Fortunately, our real estate division may know if that. I don't know if we've even reached out to those particular property owners. Lisa, do you know anything about that? Or
we are not actively trying to acquire anything adjacent to that property.
Okay. Next slide, please. And I want to talk a little bit more about the community engagement requirements to make sure that the community is comfortable that there is going to be ongoing engagement throughout the design process, the construction process, and through the life of the project. So it is going to be required that the proposals include a really robust community engagement plan throughout the whole life cycle. So not just the planning and design, but really throughout the life of the project to make sure that the community has say and is continually involved throughout the life of that of this project. Part of that would be we expect a sample agenda. We want to make sure they have a budget for translation, communications. So we are really requiring proposals to submit a very, very robust community engagement plan. And part of that as well is we want to make sure that these proposals and the developers who intend on submitting proposals really understand the history of this community. There's a lot of developers who have been in Denver for a long time and will likely know the GES community and have relationships already. But this would really force any developers who may be outside of Denver to reach out and learn the history and make sure that their proposals align with the community priorities. And again, as part of that engagement process, that letter of support is going to be required. And any proposal that comes in without a letter of support will not have the level of consideration that ones with a letter of support will have. Next slide, please. And just wanted to give you just around an estimated timeline. I want to be really clear that this is an estimate because affordable housing development can be really challenging. And one of the most challenging components is the financing piece. And meeting all these timelines, this is a very aggressive timeline, and there's a lot of pieces that could slow this down. But as you can see here, as you know, the RFP was released in March. And as I said, we intend on making the award by May 2nd. We would like to execute the land lease by July, and this would give the awardees what's considered site control in order to submit a low-income housing tax credit application in August. But that's always a challenge, and having site control is just one piece of that application process, and there may be other things that a developer may not be able to have ready for that August 1st, but we at least want to work to make sure that all the components are there for, at least on our end, for that developer to hit the application. But we're hoping that the developer can secure all financing by early to mid 2023, which would allow construction to begin in late 2023 and completion by 2025. But again, that's fairly aggressive. I think any delays, if there's a delay, it would likely be a year, which means that completion would happen in 2026. But sometimes all of the stars align and it could work. It could work towards 2025. But this is really the way the timeline lays out. And then again, I think that the financing piece, could delay it maybe 6 months to a year. And I think this is all of what I have. So I'll start answering questions. Looks like Joseph, you have your hand up?
I do. Thank you. And I do appreciate all your help and all your info. And again, I just feel that this all just started happening because I started calling. And I know that even up to 3 days ago, 4601 was not in the CAG agenda, and I'm glad that it is. So I hope that you're in the next meeting and you will have a better understanding of 4601 because it is 30 years. I've only been living in my house for 12 years, and I've only been cleaning CDOT's property for 12 years. But I think enough is enough. I think 30 years for anyone to wait for a property, for anything to be done with it, is a long time. Again, I only been in Globeville for 12 years, but the people that I went, because I have a petition online under org.com to change that property, because anyone that I talked to, long resident of Globeville, they didn't know that it was owned by CDOT. Now they have a sign that says private property of CDOT because I pushed them to do that. They publicly went and said that it was their property because no one knew that it was their property. And look, I'm right now I'm fighting about 2 abandoned cars, garbage still in that same property, and CDOT does not want to do anything. It's not until I get someone with money or with political power to get them to talk to CDOT for them to do anything. I did 2 signs, graffiti, garbage, a falling tree, and now I have to fight about 2 abandoned cars. Why is it that one citizen has to fight about a big property? Because it is big. I know you keep saying narrow, but it's not narrow. It's a block long. Like anyone can come and take a look at 4601 Washington Street, and you can do a lot with that property. It's
Thank you,
not
Joseph.
again until
Yeah.
I call. But hold
Yeah.
on. Hold on.
Okay,
Again,
but
it's not until I know.
I know, but
But
you
again,
said,
I've been
you
dealing
said
with this
this
for
once before, but keep going. But let's remind you
but
that
I
our
have to
meeting's
keep
almost
saying
up.
it again because a lot of people don't know about this property. So, but
Well,
thanks for
thank
all
you
the
for
help that
raising the
everyone has done.
attention. Yeah, thank you for raising the attention. And I think obviously we'll be back in a couple weeks or as soon as that meeting happens to give the next update. And I know you realize that this is a CDOT issue, and we appreciate that you're bringing it up here at the CAG meeting, so to inform
No,
other
this is not a
members.
CDOT issue. This became a city issue when this happened, when I started calling.
Thank you, Joseph. Nola?
Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Nola.
I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit the purpose of the city owning the land, and if comparable proposals would be considered as an alternative to that.
Yes, comparable proposal will absolutely be considered. I think that every proposal will be considered that's submitted. The purpose for the city owning the land is really for just the long-term assurance that long-term that the site will always be affordable essentially in perpetuity, because even if the land was sold and with low-income housing tax credits, there's always an end date to that. So tax credits can be maybe up to 30 years and it could potentially end. If there's city funding in a property, it could go up to 60 years, but they would end. So the intent was to ensure that the site would be serving the community in perpetuity, and that we wouldn't have to be concerned about a conversion to market rate in the future. And of course, I won't be here at that point in time when that comes, but that was the intent of the city ownership. But all proposals will be considered.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I know we're running way over time, but we have a couple of announcements, and Anthony and Beth, do you want to take those?
Second there. Okay. Yes. Okay. So actually, I think we're good on time, but I do want to
Am I wrong?
Well, we extended these meetings to an hour and a half per the.
I keep forgetting that, and you keep reminding me.
Yeah, but
I'm
that's
sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I think we're almost wrapped up, and I'm sure no one's going to complain that they get more of their time back. So, but let me just get to a couple things because we do want you to be aware of what. So, this community advisory group, as well as everyone who's on, and I see a bunch of names that I haven't seen for a while, which is fabulous. So everyone, just to be clear, everyone is invited, although it is a community advisory group, stakeholder group, but everyone is invited to meet us in Argo Park on Saturday, the 9th, April 9th, from 10 to 11. And the intent with that meeting is to talk about the 48th Avenue stormwater outfall and the greenway that sort of extended through the park and up 48th Avenue to Lincoln. So this is the piece that we haven't had a chance to chat with the community about since we did the Globeville stormwater study. So it's a really exciting piece, and we are literally at the beginning of the concept. So the team that's working on that is led by Wilson and Company, and we'll all be there and we'll have some ideas, and we'd like to hear your ideas. And we're very much generating, this is supposed to be very much a workshop. So not us bringing things to you and you saying if you like it or not, but us really working through it together. So we'll make sure we have coffee and donuts, whatever else I can come up with, but just meeting there for an hour or so in the park and getting a chance to walk through these ideas and what might make sense. Okay. So maybe Fernando, if you're listening, would you mind just putting that in the chat, just as a reminder? And we'll make sure that Anthony will send an email with a little notice on this as well. So you just don't, in case you don't grab this right now. So that's one thing, which should be very cool. I did include this. This is UCAN was making an announcement about something going on. This is not something I'm too familiar with, but it's going on from 5 to 8 p.m. on Monday, March 28th. So right around the corner. And Armando Payne is the contact for that and could certainly probably answer more questions. And I don't
Sounds like it's a free concert.
Yeah.
The Latin All-Stars. James Torres, Gregory Conchola, Ray Pomales, Lenny Rodriguez, John Macarenas. Sounds like a good time.
So that's for your information, and contact Armando if you need to ask questions about that. And then I do have a question for you, and you can certainly just answer in the chat or raise your hand. But when we brought to you the Globeville levy a time or two ago, we talked about Ringsby Court. I think that was just last month. And there was some interest in actually meeting out there again near the levee, sort of in the taxi area, and just kind of looking at Ringsby and talking about options. And we wanted to make sure that we were offering that opportunity if folks are still interested. And that's something we would look to schedule the first 2 weeks of May. And we're just we're looking at availability and dates, and we're looking for input. Is this something that works on a weekday, which is currently the only option right now? AM, PM, early evening or lunch hour, just sort of looking for you guys to respond. So if you could add your answers to the chat, that'd be super helpful. And we'll try to get something put together. Maybe it's really inconvenient to come back to that area at lunch, but morning would work, or just an evening, 5 o'clock kind of thing. So just make sure you let us know what your preferences are, and we'll try to get something scheduled there at Ringsby. And hopefully, for those of you who missed the presentation last time, it's really talking about the pedestrian environment along Ringsby and in coordination with the levee improvements. And so how to make this better going forward. Okay, last but not least. Okay, so those of you who joined us last summer in Argo Park, we attempted a very great public outdoor meeting that was attacked by thunder, lightning, and rain. We are going to try it one more time, hopefully not our last time, but Thursday, the 28th is the April CAG night. It's the same night that would be on your calendar for this CAG meeting, and it just won't be a CAG meeting, it will be a public meeting. So we'll meet as a community in Argo Park. The two major projects on the agenda right now are to continue the talk about the 48th outfall and Greenway. So everything we would have done in that workshop, the team will kind of pull it together in better design and bring some options to the broader community to share and talk about. So that's one thing. And then I know we have the Lincoln Avenue Neighborhood Bikeway and the new Lincoln Avenue underpass improvements that are being contracted right now. So no update yet, but they would be there as well to share information about that. We may have some other community announcements as well at that meeting, but right now I just want to commit to those two for the moment.
Beth, can we get some information that would be in a flyer for
Oh,
both the April
absolutely.
9th and the April 28th? Angela Garcia's asked this in the chat.
Absolutely. Anthony, we're just pulling those flyers together right now, but we will have those to you in an email from Anthony. And as you get those, actually what we might be able to do is just make sure that everybody's on the call tonight. Everybody on the call tonight somehow receives that. I feel like it's more folks on tonight. So we will try to get that done, or feel free to put your email in the chat or something, or contact Anthony directly. But yes, we will get those flyers going for sure.
So I just wanted to note that Joseph is planning a community meeting on the 4601 project, and it's going to be at the Globeville Hall. Let's see, it doesn't say a date, Joseph. And he's going to be speaking about the 4601 Washington Street project. And it's going to be March 28th, which is Monday. So those of you who are interested in the 4601 project and the work that Joseph's been doing and the concerns he has, and offering him support, as well as that's an opportunity to meet with Joseph. So Monday, March 28th, 5 to 8:30.
Perfect. All right.
And then,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, is there, the meeting times? Too many meetings on that day. I don't know if that's the March 28th, Sandra. But if you have preferences for when the meetings are that Beth asked about, if you could put that in the chat. I think we got one response saying weekends better.
Yeah.
From Gail.
Really, yeah. And if weekend is really the best answer, I mean, then we will move that. I'll work to find a Saturday to make it work. It just is a little trickier with the team members, but we can work on that for sure.
Okay, anything else? Any other comments from updates from the community and notices, announcements? Okay. So 15 more minutes of your life are being returned to you, and don't have to be at this meeting. I want to thank all the speakers who are here tonight. And also we'll be following up on the 4601 again, Joseph, with real estate. As soon as that meeting has happened, we'll be sure to let you know as quickly as possible once we get a response. Let's see, can you post that on Facebook? So I think that may be to AE. I'm thinking that's to Joseph. So. Okay, Joseph, did you get that message?
Yeah, Catherine, I was just mentioning Anthony Yelenick is right there on the corner of 47th and Pearl, and has been an advocate. Of course, he's immensely affected by that. He's been an advocate for a farmer's market, and he administers one of the Globeville Facebook page. There's numbers of people on this meeting, Joseph, that can put the information in touch, put Anthony in touch with the information. But I think it's a great idea to have an open call, get all the ideas in the room. And you're probably talking to Anthony already anyway, but I just wanted to make that connection. That's all.
Hi, everyone. Yes. So this is not actually my meeting. I mean, this is actually Armando's, and the It's co-hosted by UCAN. It's the United Community Action Network. I actually just asked to speak about 4601 because, again, I printed out 500 flyers. I gave out 400 flyers, and I got to speak to about 300 people, most of them Latinos. I'm glad that I know Spanish. But like I said, none of them knew that, or most of them didn't knew that the property was owned by CDOT. And they just, they knew that the property was between 45th and 46th. And all they did was turn their face the other way, and everyone just ignored that property because it looks ugly. And yeah, I'm just gonna be trying to get signatures. I have a petition going under org.com. Type in Globeville, and yeah, I'm just getting signatures. We're actually taking this to our mayor and hopefully Hancock and Hickenlooper and anyone that would listen to what has been happening with CDOT and now the city. It would be truly appreciated because it's only myself and Angela that are just trying to get the word out there. I mean, it's 30 years. I'm 47. I was 17 when that property was abandoned. And look at it now. It's just barren desert with 2 abandoned cars, 1 lonely tree, and we're still cleaning out there. And, CDOT, the last time the CDOT came and cleaned was August, because I started calling, and now it's just being ignored. And again, it's not like it's a backlot. It's the face of Globeville. If we can all stand up and be vigilant that, it's not a private property. I don't know why they keep calling it private property. It's a public property. They bought that land with public money 30 years ago, and they want to sell it with public money, and they want to keep that money. And I'm sorry, I'm just not up for that. I haven't actually, I've been fighting for 11 months to just be told to quiet down and pay high taxes. I will not do that. I'm sorry, but I'm poor, but I still pay taxes, and I still love my home, and I love Globeville and everyone that lives in it. But if I have to go and knock on every single door to get more signatures, I will. Sorry, but I will not be kept quiet.
So those of you who would like to join Joseph again, it's on March 28th, 5 to 8:30 at the UCAN meeting at 4463 Logan. Okay.
And Catherine, I think we have
Van,
and
and then Angela.
Hey folks, I know we're all eager to get off this call, and thanks again, Joseph, for your passion around this topic. I just wanted to say, y'all, that we are having a seed planting workshop at 4800 Washington Street this Friday, tomorrow evening at 5 to 7. So if you do not spend a lot of time in Globeville, this could be a great way for you to come out and support the community. We're planting seeds. And then there's also a tree planting initiative that Gail from Globeville First has spearheaded, and that is on April 23rd, Saturday, April 23rd. So a couple other fun opportunities to help the community. So feel free to come out.
And Gail, could you put that in the chat as well? Could you guys both just put that info in the chat, and that way we'll have it too to help with all these announcements.
Thanks, Van. Angela?
Yes, thank you. Anthony Jelinek was not able to attend the meeting tonight, but he asked me to pass something on, so I'm going to do that.
Okay.
He wanted me to bring up the street light to get out of Globeville on 47, either an island or simply changing the sign from left only and right, or straight to right only and the left lane be straight or left. He brought that up in the meeting last month, and he just wants to keep that on the radar because that is a dangerous place, and it takes forever for people to try to get in and out of Globeville. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. That is definitely, he brought that up last time. We'll keep that moving there with the Washington design team.
Okay, any other announcements? Joseph, you just still have your hand up, or is this a new announcement?
I do. This is not related to 4601 Washington Street.
Okay,
So,
Joseph.
yes, actually another, Argo Park, we do have a lot of dog walkers, and unfortunately, some people do forget dog poop bags, and there's a lot of dog feces everywhere. Do you know how we can actually get dog poop bags installed at I know there's a lot of parks around our area, and we have a lot of pets. That's why I love Dumb Franks League. Do you know how we can get those installed?
Aiden? Any insight, Aiden?
I mean, we definitely have resources. So there is a community, it's called the Colorado Pet Pantry. I frequently will go to them for a variety of supplies. So if anybody is in need of dog poop bags, that's totally something that I could get. I had put my email in the chat earlier, but I can add that again right now, Joseph. And if you want to email me, I'd love to help you gather things to alleviate the amount of poop in that area.
I will. And Platte Farm Park, and again, I mean, we are all there's a lot of dog owners that we love our furry pets, and it's just, again, sometimes we all forget our bags, and I mean, if they're there, and we can just pick up our own dog poop. But thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Joseph. Any other comments, questions?
As far as the dog bags in parks, you might try attending a Parks and Recs advisory board meeting. That's where they have time for public comment, and I think it's the second Wednesday of every month from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And I can drop a link to the denver.org page in there, but that would be a good place to talk about that too.
Thanks, Rob. Daria?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Daria and then AE.
Great.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out it's Argo Park that's an issue, Joseph?
Yes, please.
And
Okay.
Platt Park too.
And Platt Park, okay.
And, yes,
Yeah.
Platte Farm Park. I mean, it used to be like on the grass, but now, I mean, there's low lighting at Argo Park, so I wake up and walk my dog, and I just see it. I kind of I bring extra bags, and I clean Argo Park, I literally go and clean garbage. But it's just, again, you can't blame dog owners for forgetting the bags, so it's okay, Bubba. But yes, please.
Yeah, no, I also will kind of look into seeing some parks will let you sponsor a park, and so I can certainly look into seeing if that is a possibility for the league to just provide a pet station, little bag station as well. So let me look into that as well for you guys.
Thank you so much. And again, Dumb Franks League, I owe you a lot. I would do anything for you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
AE?
Yeah, just to broaden it, just a crossover thing here from the meeting that happened at Transfiguration regarding the possible locations of the potential library. And I don't know if Sandra is still on, because I think it was her suggestion, but there was a lot of interest in looking at the large field on the north end of Argo Park as a possible location, just brainstorming broadly. And the major question is, how is that currently being used? It's a kind of it's just kind of an open exploration without knowing what the realities are in lots of directions. But this might be a group that, I don't know if you guys in your departments there can get more information about that, but I think it's worth broadening the discussion. If Sandra is still there, maybe she can say something about why she felt that was a good idea.
This is Joseph again. I did actually go over the tracks to hand out flyers about 4601, and they had I had also suggested a library back there, but some of the residents do not want to be disturbed with traffic or a library. I mean, I mentioned to them the two sites, 4995, and then the one by Salvation Army. And I also mentioned 4601 Washington Street. And they are up for that. They would love to have a library, but not back there. Like, because that means more traffic for them and more construction and everything else, where we have all these sites that are easily accessible. I mean, again, I don't want to blow the same horn with 4601, but it's right there. It's and even 4995, yes, and Salvation Army, but I mean, if you do your research, he may not want to sell that property. I mean, it's a big property, but I don't know. It's yeah. I talk to them. I give out flyers, and if you all go and talk to them, they don't want to do that. But yes, unless we have a different answer to that.
Okay. AE, did you have another comment?
Well, no, sorry, my hand is up, but I think everything you say is very critical, Joseph, and I'm concerned that we need to get the voices directly into the public meetings that the Denver Public Library is holding. This is an initial push to make this decision, so it's very encouraging to have this a much more a much broader discussion with many different ideas, and I think that this is a good time because it's very preliminary. So I don't know if anybody that's here knows the date or if there's a date for the next public meeting on the library, but I don't even know if it's been set.
Yeah,
But that's very important information.
The meeting did happen, and they did mention a couple of properties, and people were pretty much up in arms that they thought that the decision had been made already, and it hasn't. I mean, as far as I know, it hasn't. And I had the GES coalition. I don't know if they're with us tonight, but unfortunately I was working that night, so I couldn't mention 4601, but they did. They mentioned 4601, and I know 4995 Washington Street is also up in the air, and where the Army Salvation is also there, Candy DeBaca, through that meeting. So if you have any questions, call her or call, I believe, Karen or Susan, or email them, and they will gladly answer those questions. Again, I wasn't there, so I'm going by word of mouth and what people told me. So yeah, ask them.
So, and Joseph and I think we can just follow up with the library directly and see where things are at and get down.
Yes, because Globeville needs and wants a library. There's nothing more beautiful than a library. It's a temple of knowledge.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Joseph, just quickly, and I agree, the library can be contacted directly. I was at the meeting, as were a couple people, I think, that are on this, and it was wide opened up to more locations and a more general discussion, and it was challenged that for there not to be a preliminary decision based on just the Salvation Army and the 4995.
Perfect.
And 4400 was listed, and I absolutely challenged the process myself to say, let's broaden it, let's broaden it, and I think the library is receptive.
Thank you. I can only dream of having a library behind my house. I just love, I don't know if anyone disagrees with me, but libraries are just beautiful, and we can just do a lot with Globeville and libraries, because it's not just for us, it's for that next generation of kids that when I was a kid, I love a library. I just went in it and I just got lost with books and librarians and their knowledge and everything else. Imagine a library at 4601 or anywhere else in Globeville. There's just so many empty spaces that we're all fighting for. And I'm very passionate about 4601, that I don't want a building to go there that's going to pollute Globeville more. A library would be so nice, and anywhere around Globeville. We just need kids to be off the street into a library where you can get lost. A book it's better than a video game. It's better than anything else. Again, I got lost there for hours.
Thank you. And I think what we'll do is, Beth, we can, I think there is onward to the for the library, onward, there's going to be meetings on 4601, and we're going to see if we can get bags for dog poop at Argo Park. So this was a very productive meeting. And we're a little bit over time. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and thank you for your input. And Anthony had to step away. It's not that he's not talking, he had to step away for something else. So Beth and I thank you for being here tonight, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for doing everything for Glowville or surrounding areas. It means a lot to everyone.
Thank you, Joseph, for those kind words.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Good night, everybody.